places we can't sing, so it's always good to be able to sing for the Lord in this capacity. I want to thank you all for the invitation to come and be able to share with you for the next few days. I want to thank Sister Powell for the invitation and making sure I got out here, and my president, Dr. King, made sure I got out here as well. And we are here. The devil tried to stop us yesterday, but he will always try. How many know the devil will try? He will try. The Bible makes it very clear that no weapon formed against us will prosper. It didn't say it won't hit you. It didn't say it won't nick you up a little bit, but you will not prosper. It will not prosper. So we're just glad to be here. Good to meet Pastor Tufe. I already see kindred spirits there, and so I look forward to spending some more time with you. It is almost 9 o'clock, so I don't want y'all to fall asleep on me. So let's go ahead and jump right into the Word. I want to start in Matthew chapter 9. This is where I'm going to be. We're going to really just pile up on our theme every single evening of being plugged in. That's the theme for this week, this idea, this weekend, being plugged in. I actually going to start Matthew chapter 9 and verse 9. And I actually just want to read that one verse, Matthew chapter 9 and verse 9. Now we're going to be challenged tonight from the Word and every time that we are together. And one of the reasons I think we need to be challenged is because I think we need to stop playing church. I think Jesus is soon to come. I know you've heard that probably all your life. But even if he doesn't come during your lifetime, if you are to die tomorrow, we hope the next face we'll see is Jesus. So we got to get some stuff together. Matthew chapter 9, verse 9. When you have it, you say, I got it? Here's what the Bible says. As Jesus went on from there, New American Standard Version of the Bible, he saw a man called Matthew sitting in the tax collector's booth. And he said to him, what did he say, everybody? Follow me. Here's my favorite part of that verse. And he got up, and what's the Bible say he did? And followed him. If you're a person, God's help, we're going to preach on this subject, more than directions. More than directions. Let's go ahead and pray. Father, not another second, nor an hour, nor another day. But at this moment, with my arms outstretched, Lord, I need you to make a way as you have done so many times before. Now, God, you've done it through a window or an open door. So, Father, here I am. I stretch my hands to you. Now, I pray that you would come rescue me because I need you right away. Now, Spirit of the living God, fall afresh on us. This is our prayer in Jesus' name. Let everybody say amen. Amen. If you don't know me, and if you got to know me a little better, one of the things that you'll discover is I'm horrible at directions. I really get lost at the drop of a hat. And so when you really think about that, you really can imagine what my life was like before GPS, right? It's almost crazy to think that we actually lived in a time, some of you maybe didn't, where there wasn't GPS, where people actually just gave you directions. And it didn't work with me. They would write directions down, and I would still end up getting lost because of the way that people would give me these directions. And I hope you're not one of these people who says, all right, what you're going to do is go 1.5 miles down the freeway and exit southeast, and then you'll be able to go. I'm like, no, what is southeast, right? I know what that is, I know ghetto directions, go down the freeway when you see the liquor store exit and then go right, right? That's kind of how my directions are. But I always would get lost, even with these directions written down, because sometimes people would spell the name of the street wrong, and sometimes I couldn't read their writing exactly the way that it was supposed to come out. And so although I had the directions, and in their mind, they were very clear, they knew how they'd written them down, it made sense to maybe everybody else, but when I got a hold of these directions, there would be times I would have them, I would read them, I would look up to try and see if I'm following them correctly, and I would still end up getting lost. And when you look at this idea of Christianity, I want to let you know how some people in the church and even outside the church view this thing called Christianity. That there is a destination we're trying to get called heaven, right? That's what we're trying to get. We're all trying to get to heaven. And here is what our church believes and what Christianity says. That if we could just follow the directions, right? If we could just follow what's written in these directions, we'll be able to get to our destination. And that seems clear, that seems wonderful, but here's a problem. The directions can be a little confusing, can't they? So confusing that you have a King James version, and then you've got a New American Standard version, then you've got an English Standard version, and you've got a New International version, but you can't read the New International version maybe because there's 2 or 3 texts there that they don't really say about God, and they kind of remove his name. And then you have to understand the original language that the directions are written in, because that word there in the Greek and the Hebrew means something completely and totally different. And then you need a Bible worker maybe to help you understand the directions. And in some parts of the directions, you need to understand math and algebra to get this 2,300 days all together when it comes to these directions. And then we as a church have another set of directions called Spirit of Prophecy, but it's really the lesser light of the directions, but yet people pay more attention to those directions than they do the other directions. And so by the time I'm done, I'm just all confused trying to live my life and follow directions. It's confusing, isn't it? All kinds of directions, and directions seem to be good, and they seem to make sense, but for some reason in this particular even generation that we see inside of our church, it seems that we need more than directions. I want to read to you a little bit about what's been happening recently in our church. In the last 50 years, how many years did I say? 50 years, 14 million Seventh-day Adventists have left the church. Not 14 million that we haven't reached, but 14 million that have bought in at one time to what it is that we do, to what it is that we say, and they have made a decision: I no longer want to be a part of this organization. As they've done it, and they walked away 14 million. And so, in this book called You Lost Me, it's an incredible book. I suggest that you get that partnered with another book, Unchristian. And in his book, You Lost Me, Barnes Group president and owner David Kinnaman, who is the author of this book, details 6 perceptual grievances that millennials tend to harbor against the church as a cultural institution. I'm reading from a quote right now. These grievances hold that the church is intolerant of doubt, elitist in its relationships, anti-science in its beliefs, overprotective of its members, shallow in its teachings, and repressive of differences. As we were teaching, this is what millennials are thinking about the church in general. So what I applaud the SCA church for doing is they said, let's get the same group to do a study of our millennials and see what they think about those same issues. And so the North American Division of Seventh-day Adventists commissioned the Barnes Group to conduct a study of SCA millennials to tell us what they thought about these grievances that were mentioned earlier. And these are the results of their findings. I'm not going to go through all of them, but I am going to go through some. 34% said very clearly that they believe that we are extremely exclusive as a church. Exclusive in the sense that means we don't mingle with other people. No, you can't do that. Why? Well, I'm SDA, and if you're not SDA, you can't sing in our church. If you're not SDA, I really can't go visit your church. And so, very exclusive in the way that we present ourselves, and even in the way sometimes that we present our teachings. That's what these young adults are starting to think. Are y'all still with me so far? Trust me, we're going somewhere with this. The other idea was 47% said anti-science. Here was some of the quotes they said. It's as if the SCA church is afraid to use science or speak in science as if God was not the author of science. Hope y'all know that we don't have gravity without God. He put all of this together. But the idea was that there were 2 anti-science. We're afraid to delve into anything scientific. I'm skipping over a few because for our time's sake. 36% overprotective, to the point where they've said that young adults, and you hear them, that as they were growing up, couldn't watch this, couldn't go here, couldn't date this, couldn't experience that. And so watch what ends up happening. They go off to college after no longer being under your care, and they lose their minds because they've never learned how to make choices. The choices were always made for them because there's this overprotectiveness that if you watch it, if you listen to it, if you experience, all of a sudden the devil will possess you. And so they go out, and some of these young men, I'm being very general for a moment, but some of these young men have turned some ladies out because they're not ready for the real world. Overprotective. I'm going to tell you this right now. When you graduate college, one of the things I used to say to people at my college all the time, I went to Columbia Union College, I said, in the real world, I do not get a negative comment or demerit for not having worship. That's not what happens. But you want to know something else that's happened? I lose my connection with God. So instead of trying to force me into worship, why don't you show me the benefits of it? And maybe I'll go without you having to make sure I'm there by finding me $100 on my bill. Because you don't have enough students to take up for tuition. 29% said that our beliefs are shallow. I want y'all to hear this one. They said our beliefs are shallow. 2300-day prophecy, Sabbath, and time message, and they believe our beliefs are shallow. Why? Not because of what our beliefs are, but for what we emphasize. And here's one of the main problems they had, that we emphasize outward appearance as opposed to inward character. What you eat, what you wear, all that kind of stuff is what they found is most important to us, as opposed to what a person's character really is. Therefore, they'll look at somebody who has jewelry, that's what they're saying about us, and determine something about their character, and make that the most important thing. What you're wearing in church, how you dress, how your hair is, whether you have makeup on or not. And that is what we emphasize, as opposed to whether or not, watch this, a person is kind, loving, and actually shares the gospel of Jesus Christ. They also said that we're repressive. Holding people back, holding individuals back from being able to do ministry, where we have new ideas. And that is why, honestly, the SDA Church is about 15, 20 years behind when it comes to technology and everything else in this entire world when it comes to the things the world is doing. And that's why right now the average age of our church is 55 years old. Which simply means that the church, for all intents and purposes, is dying. Are y'all following me? The church is dying. And the only thing that's keeping it afloat, and I'm being a little funny, but this is real, is the health message, we live a long time. So we're not dying fast enough. y'all just staying alive until you're like 85. But the truth is, we have too many churches with 12, 15, 25 people there who just will live and live and live and live and live. But there are no, watch this, there are no new millennials, new young people that are coming to the church. At the general conference that took place, I believe it was, of course, last year, out of the entire church and all those who were voting and making decisions for the church, 2% were 35 and younger. Not part of our church. But we've got the right directions. We've got the right message. But for some reason, it's not translated. I believe we need more than directions. So here's what would happen with me. My friends would write me directions. They give them to me. I still get lost. But eventually, here's what they say. They say, you know, Mike, forget that. Here are the directions. They still write them down. But they said, do me a favor. Follow me. And so they said, when I go left, you go left. When I go right, you go right. I'm going to drive fast enough just so you can always see me. I'm going to keep my eyes on you in the rear view mirror. When I speed up, you speed up. When I slow down, you slow down. When I move, you move. Just like that. And so what was crazy is when I looked at the directions, I need you to follow this. When I looked at the directions, and I would also look at them, I noticed that they were not going anywhere different than where the directions were really also taking me. The difference was I now had somebody, I hope y'all follow me, that I can keep my eyes on, as opposed to just having some rules and regulations go ahead and follow. Let me share with you something about the Christian experience. We need more than directions. We actually need someone that we can actually follow. And I'd like to suggest to you that somebody is Jesus Christ. Because Jesus does not come and just drop on us a Bible and say, go ahead and figure it out and I'll see you when you get here. But no, Jesus has an invitation and he says, you know what I need you to do? I need you to follow me. I need you to love like me. I need you to walk like me. I need you to talk like me. I need you to forgive like me. And I'm going to show you how to do it. As we walk in a relationship with Jesus Christ is calling everyone in the church to is not simply to follow rules and traditions, And that person is Jesus Christ. That is what he's calling us to. But here, I believe, is our fundamental problem. I want to read you this quote from this one scholar. Here's what he says to us as Christians. He says, you seek to be godly by submitting yourself to external rules and regulations, and by conforming to behavior patterns imposed upon you by the particular Christian society that you have chosen and in which you hope to be found acceptable. In other words, you say, hey, look, I know that you want to be a part of the Adventist church or whatever Christian society it is. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to look at what their rules are. You're going to look at what their norms are. And you're going to conform to those so you can fit into that society. That's what you're going to do. But he says this, but you will in this way perpetuate the pagan habit of practicing religion in the energy of the flesh and in the very pursuit of righteousness. It blew my mind. Commit idolatry in honoring Christianity more than Christ. And that is what we have done. We have honored the things of Christianity more than the Christ of the Christianity, forgetting that it's those things that should help us get closer in relationship and not the things that take place of the relationship. And that has been the issue. The issue, actually, that when you find out, one of the main issues that they boil down this study to is the main problem that millennials had with the church is that a relationship with Jesus is not emphasized. They said we're taught to be plugged in to all kinds of traditions, full of don'ts and don'ts and don'ts, but we were never taught how to be plugged into Jesus. And what this generation is longing for, what they are crying for, is not more information. They're crying for relationship. But you gotta understand something. The way that a lot of us who are a little older came into the church, if we're real, probably wasn't necessarily a relationship. You heard information from the directions, saw it was true, never questioned it, and did it. Come on now. C.D. Brooks said Saturday's a Sabbath. You saw it in here, you said no problem. This generation wants to know why. Well, why? I get it. Okay, it says it's Sabbath. Well, why? But they're never taught the why, because why comes from relationship. And kids are never taught relationship. And so now they grow up inside of this church, and they have rule. And let me tell you what starts to happen. They run into circumstances and situations in life where the rules don't give them the answer on how to do it. Are y'all still with me? One of the other issues that they not only found with this idea of relationship was not only is there a gap in the relationship with Christ, but they said one of the problems they also have with the church is the problem with the intergenerational relationship. One generation has an inability to get along with another generation. Here's the reason why. We're arguing over style of worship. One generation, another generation. Music, whether or not certain instruments we play in the church, drums, friends, where they hang out, where they go to school, career paths and choices. And so one generation says this, another generation says that, and we do this, and eventually we're just going out. Generation is begging to be plugged in to Jesus. Here's another reason why I think it's important, and why this idea of relationship and being plugged into Jesus is so important. I remember one time I was with my friends. They gave me directions, and I was following them, and I was following them driving. But it's hard to look at them with all the other traffic going around, and also look at the directions, and so I ended up getting lost. And so I pulled over to the side. I said, I'm not going to try and work this out myself. I'm just going to pull over, put my blinkers on, wait about 45 minutes so they recognize that I'm not going to be behind them, and then we'll come back and get to where we need to go. 3 minutes later, my boy pulls up to the side of my car. He's like, come on, dude, let's go. I was like, man, how did you get here so fast? He said, what do you mean how did I get here so fast? He said, man, I had my eyes on you the entire time. He said, so as soon as I saw that you got lost, what I did is I hooked a U-turn, and I came right up to you so we can get back to where we need to go. I want to let you know, folks, that when we get lost in this life when we're following Jesus Christ, don't try to figure it out by yourself. Just pull over to the side, put your blinkers on, and pull over in your brokenness, pull over in your pain, pull over in your mess, because just know that right look at a U-turn is going to be Jesus, and he's going to roll down his window, and he's not going to ask you why did you get lost, get back in directions, weren't you paying attention? He's just going to say, come on, follow me. But when you're not in relationship, you're left to figure it out by yourself. And if you've ever tried to get somewhere that you don't know how to get by yourself, you usually get more lost than when you started. So there's this idea of following Christ. And this is why I just listened to the last few moments and we're setting the stage, because I want us to understand that the most important thing that I believe we can do now in the stage of our church is legitimately and truly be plugged into Jesus. I just believe that. I believe that. And we're going to see a little bit throughout this week what it looks like. But in Matthew chapter 9, and that's the text. I just want to do one verse tonight, and then we'll go ahead and go back to our cabins. But in Matthew chapter 9, we have Jesus who is getting ready to get the 12 together to establish his church, right? As a matter of fact, the reason that we're here is because of the nominating committee process that Jesus went through in order to get his 12 disciples. And it's so funny. I wish the nominating committee worked like Jesus, because here's what Jesus does. He spends all night in prayer. Come on now. All night in prayer. Wakes up in the morning and allows the Spirit to direct him to who it needs to be. Because watch this. If Jesus used the nominating committee, that committee would have been voted down. And let me tell you why. Because this 12 is made up of insane folk. I mean, there are gangbangers, James and John, the sons of thunder. There's Peter, there's a doubter, there's a thief, there's a tax collector. I mean, Jesus walks past the seminary, he walks past the elders, and he goes to find the trifling folk of the world. And here's what's crazy, and has the nerve to give those folk power over unclean spirits. Who is this Peter? But Jesus makes his way to the tax booth, and he sees this dude named Matthew. Now this is huge, and I know for a lot of us we're removed from the culture, so it really doesn't sit well with us. Because you understand, in Jewish culture, these individuals were absolutely hated, and one of the reasons why is because they were Jewish people collecting Roman taxes. Now that's crazy. Jewish people collecting Roman taxes. And so no one wanted to be with them. So the only people that tax collectors could hang out with was other tax collectors and other servants. Because the people looked at them like, no way, there's no way I'm going to mess with you. Because here's what happened. They would go to different provinces and they would bid and have these bidding wars and auctioning off wars as to where Rome would be able to collect certain taxes. And so they were like, you can charge however you want for taxes as long as Rome gets its portion. So the Rome would come in, they would go to a city, let's say maybe like Judea or something like that. They would buy out the ability to collect taxes, and here's how trifling they were. They would then have one of the citizens of that town collect taxes on behalf of the Romans. So it's like, you're a traitor. You're an absolute traitor, because the people who are oppressing us, you work for. And not only work for it, but now you are benefiting from that. Your house is bigger than ours. Your camels are better than ours, because now you are just taxing us like crazy. So this is who Matthew is. And so Jesus rolls up to this guy who is dishonest, who is a traitor, who is full of all kinds of stuff, and he looks at him and he says, follow me. That's what he said. He just walks up to him. Y'all see it in the Bible? I'm not making this up. He goes up to him and says, follow me. Now look, Matthew's response. He gets up and he follows him. And here's what doesn't happen in the Bible. Jesus doesn't look at him and say, hold on, Matthew, I was just kidding, man. I said follow me to see if you're interested, but Matthew, hold on a second. You got some issues in your life that before you can walk with me, I need you to solve first. You're a liar, you're cheating, you're a little dishonest, so why don't you change a little bit of that first? Jesus doesn't do any of that. Jesus simply says, Matthew, come on, you want to follow me? Come follow me, because here is the difference. Religion says, change, and then you can join us. Jesus says, join me, and I'll change you. And that's a fundamental see all these things change with our kids, right? Some of you still got teenagers. You want to see all this stuff. And here's the way we try and change it. Forcing them to do stuff. Making them throw away all their CDs. I'm going to tell you this right now. I don't want my children to do things because I'm the pastor and only because their father told them. I want them to be so in love with Christ that stuff now becomes distasteful because of their walk with Christ. And so Jesus is like, hey, just follow me. It'll be all good. Now here's the thing I need to let you know, this idea about following Jesus, and I'm going to make just a few more points and then we're done. Jesus will change things in people's life that he sees need to be changed. That maybe you think needs to be changed later and something else needs to be changed first. See, Jesus might say, I ain't worried about how you look, I got something else I got to do. But we want to change that part first. Are y'all following me? Yeah. But here's the thing, as long as they're walking with Jesus, it should be all good. So Jesus goes over to Matthew's house. He's hanging with these folk. And the church people have this huge problem with it. Because like, Jesus, why are you at these sinners' house? You know, they don't deserve your company. They don't deserve that. And Jesus' whole point is, well, those are the ones I really want to follow me. Because I recognize that when they follow me, they're not always going to be this way. So here's what I want to say. 3 things about following Jesus. They have some points underneath them. Being a sinner does not disqualify you. It's actually a prerequisite. In order to follow Jesus, he's like, yeah, that's what I'm there for. I'm there for the ones that actually have the issues. As a matter of fact, if you look in the Bible, he really only invites these sinners to follow him. The problem is the Pharisees just didn't put themselves in that category. Number 2, here's the thing that we find out about Jesus. He invited them before they got better or even committed to do so. Did y'all catch that? Before they made any commitment. This is the only commitment Jesus needed from them. Will you walk with me? Yeah, okay, let's go. They didn't make a commitment to stop doing this. They didn't make a commitment to stop doing that. They made one commitment, follow me. And Jesus was like, that's all I need. And he did not lower the standard. He just said, I need to get you to walk with me. Number 3, he invites people who know they are not all they ought to be and not sure they are willing to be. Jesus is like, come on, well, God, I don't know if I'm what I should be. And God, to be honest, I don't even know if I'm willing to be what I should be. And Jesus says, it doesn't matter. Follow me. Because he even says, I can take care of that. Just follow me. He invites people who know something's wrong, but aren't sure what to do about it. God, I know something's going on in my life. I have no idea what to do about it. Jesus still says to that person, follow me. Amen. Follow me. One of the things I also love about Jesus, and it says this here, under this section, remember, Jesus offered this invitation for someone to follow him before there was a relationship. I want that to sink in for a minute. Matthew has no relationship with Jesus. He has none. He's heard about him. He's heard stories. And then not necessarily a whole lot up to this point in Scripture. And he simply says, this guy has asked me to go with him. I'm going to go. I'm going to go. And there are some people, y'all, who come into our churches, have no clue, no idea who God is, but something in them says, I just want to follow him. And we sometimes run them away because we make them go through this long, incredible process before they can actually just start to work and follow Jesus Christ. That's what we do. And Jesus doesn't do that. It's ecumenical, it's ecclesiastical, excuse me, but it's not theological. Other heading here. The invitation to follow is an invitation to relationship. It's an invitation to what? Relationship. The changes that Christ wants to make take place in the context of a relationship. I need y'all to hear that. The changes he wants to make in our lives. And hopefully we all know that we need to change. Because if you didn't, you'd be dead or translated right now. But he wants to change it. But that change only takes place in the context of a relationship because Jesus knows that it really is only relationship that changes people. I'll never forget when I first got married, I was a bachelor before and I'd stay out late with my friends and or I'd go to late night movies. And so when we came back from our honeymoon, it's like the first week or two of marriage, and I was like, hey, I'll be out, and I'll see you back. I can't remember what time I said. I ended up getting back at like 3:30 in the morning. And so I climbed in the bed, and it was different. It wasn't the same cuddly experience that I was expecting. And she was bothered. And I was like, yo, what's up with that? And she's like, so you think it's okay as a married man to be out at 3:30 in the morning? I said, I ain't with nobody else. She said, that's not the point. It's not about that. She's like, dude, I'm sitting here in the house by myself at 3:30 in the morning, doing that. And she started to go out, and she's like, babe, all right, just whatever. And turned over. I was like, man, Lord have mercy. Now, how many times do you think I stayed out that late again? I didn't, but I want you to notice something. She did not wake up in the morning, write down, Michael, here's your curfew. She didn't do that. All that happened is I saw what my actions did to the relationship, and I changed my actions. I didn't need a rule or a curfew to come back in on time. I saw what my actions did to the relationship, and I wanted to change my actions. Let me tell you the reason why. Because the relationship meant that much to me. See, we ain't got to burden our kids with all kinds of stuff and all kinds of rules and things of that nature. All we have to do is teach them, follow Jesus, be in a relationship, and I promise you, they'll be so in love with him that when they see how their actions affect that relationship, they'll stop immediately. But we don't teach our kids and have this idea of relationship and wonder why they never change. But you know what we'll do? We'll show these CDs, these movies with G. Craig Lewis about how Beyonce is the demon and the devil, and we'll hope that they'll throw away all their CDs, and 3 weeks later, they're buying them again. Because their change never took place because of a relationship. It took place because of rules, and change always takes place in the context of a relationship. Just a few more things. You can begin a relationship with the local body of Jesus' followers before you begin a relationship with him. And it happens all the time. Did y'all catch that? You can begin a relationship with the local body of Jesus' followers before you begin a relationship with him. I'm going to say that one more time. You can begin a relationship with the local body of Jesus' followers. Here's our problem. We only hang out with each other though. Amen. That's all we do. We hang out with each other. We pop luck and everything. It's just us. And let me tell you something. Ministry of Healing, page 143. Ellen White says this: Christ's methods alone will give you true success. We have success. We don't have true success. And let me tell you the first part of that statement. Christ mingled with men as one who desired their good. And so I'm going to tell you, I love meetings like this, and this is cool, and this is great. But let me tell you what will make it even better. If you bring people that have no clue what CAAA means up to something like this, camp meeting's great, that's nice, but it's just another chance for us to get together and have vegetarian food, and not a whole bunch of folk are sitting there who we need to be mingling with. We wake up every single morning, and we go to church, we say hello to our neighbors, and we go by, maybe know their name, maybe know their last name. At work, we don't want to do all that kind of stuff and mingle with people. And let me tell you something, that people can have a relationship with you before they start going with Jesus, and it will almost be like it's the same. But we don't want to be where Jesus was, at somebody else's house on Saturday afternoon. How about you do something a little crazy? Instead of potlucking at your house, go to your co-worker's house. Pastor, the TV might be on. I know. And you'll be all right. Because what you're going to be able to do that day, without telling them how evil it is and all that, is you're going to be able to plant some seed in their life that one day the Holy Spirit is going to water, and it is going to produce much fruit. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Exposure to the person of Christ, listen to me, is what initiates change. And the exposure to Christ might be through you. Might be through you. Then finally, here's what I want to say here, and this is one that really gets us in more close to this. Following Jesus, or being plugged into Jesus, focuses me to focus on where I am, rather than where you are not. I'll say it again. Following forces me to focus on where I am, rather than where you are not. The more conscious I am of the work God has yet to do in me, the less critical I am of what he has yet to do in you. See, as long as I'm focused on where Jesus is leading me, I have little time to judge people regarding where Jesus hasn't led them. You see, the people who gossip about other people's issues and other people's problems, there's no way you're following Jesus. There's no way you're plugged into Jesus. Because if you were plugged into Jesus, you would be like Isaiah in declaring, "Woe is me, for I'm a man of unclean lips, and I dwell among a people of unclean lips." But because we're not following Christ, I can look at all your issues and talk about them, because when I'm focused on Jesus, the more simple I see that I am, the less time I have to worry about who you're sleeping with, who you living with, what you got on, and where you're going. But because we're not plugged into Christ and don't have our own relationship with Christ, we look at other people's relationship and other people's issues and all that different kind of stuff, as opposed to saying, "God, I don't have time to talk about sister so-and-so. You and I need to talk about me." Because the closer I've gotten to you, because I've seen your holiness and I've seen your righteousness, and I've seen how despicable I am, God, help me. I ain't got time to talk about sister so-and-so. We'll gossip all day long about somebody else, won't we? Forgetting very clearly that in Romans chapter 1, that same verse that talks about homosexuality, 2 verses down it mentions gossip. You ain't kicked no gossipers out your church because you wouldn't have a church left. What's my challenge this weekend? I want to talk to us about doing something really revolutionary. Christianity actually focus very simple. And the directions are actually very simple. We just made them complicated. This book is all about following Jesus. It's all about knowing who he is for ourselves. It's not about being able to exegete and break down all the prophecies, because every prophecy talks about us getting closer to him. Everything in this book is about what he wants to do in our lives, and that's what the directions are about. It's just about plugging into him. It's not more than that. And we have to trust that if we can get a group of people who every single day make a commitment that, "God, I'm going to follow you, I'm going to be plugged into you," that the change that needs to happen in their life will happen because of Christ and Christ alone. And this is why he says in John 17:3, "And this is life eternal, that they may know you." My favorite word in the Bible, know, the Greek word gnosko. And you know what it means? Intimate relationship. That's what Jesus says. If y'all could just be in an intimate relationship with me, everything will take care of itself. So here's what I want to challenge us to do. I want to challenge us this weekend. A lot of us have just been looking at a lot of directions, and the directions aren't wrong. But outside of a relationship, they'll drive you crazy. Outside of a relationship, it's idolatry. But if we put these directions in the context of a relationship with Jesus, I think your life will never be the same, and I think we'll start to see this church grow in a way that we've never seen before. And people would just follow Jesus, because we need more than directions. Let me pray with you tonight. Father in heaven, I thank you for not simply coming on a cross and dying. You could have done that, paid for the penalty of sin, and made it a transaction. But you came here for 33 and a half years and actually showed us how to live. And for 3.5 of those years, you had a group of individuals follow you. As a matter of fact, when John wondered if you were the Christ, you didn't break it down to him theologically. You told the disciples, "Just follow me for a day. Watch what I do. You'll see who I am." And God, my prayer for all of us, myself included, is that we would not just preach you, that we would not just study you, but that we would follow you. Too many times we're trying to get you to follow us. We want to follow you. And we believe that in that relationship, our characters will change, our lives will change, our mission will just be more forthright. We'll be able to spread your gospel even more if we would follow you. It's a scary thing, God, because we're used to trying to control situations and things. We give up control to you. We give it up to our relationship. And a relationship, God, is not just on Sabbath. It's every single day. Consecrating ourselves to you every morning, our first work, and allowing you to be the ruler and creator and author and finisher of our lives. So God, tonight, we present ourselves to you. And we want to begin tonight following you. We'll learn even more what that looks like throughout this week, this weekend. We pray that we won't just have a good time on the mountaintop, but when we come down from the mountain, we'll come down still